You have to help me, she's in danger. Can you describe him? Yes, tall, a scar on his cheek. Please hurry.
How dare you come back here after what you did? We told you to stay away. Now you're finished. Please, just let me explain. I didn't mean it. I told you this would happen. Don't ever come back here. You asked for this. Don't ever come back here. Help me.
Help me! Somebody help us, please!
What happens when silence becomes a death sentence and loyalty turns into a race against time? In the dead of night, Tio Lock secretly returns to the CEO's remote farm, driven by a chilling instinct that something is terribly wrong. While she risks everything to come back, the CEO stands alone, refusing to betray her whereabouts despite brutal threats from dangerous criminals. As shadows close in and danger erupts, their fates collide in a moment where courage, sacrifice, and love are tested. Stay with us until the end, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because this story will show you how one decision can change everything. Under the cover of a moonless night, Tieu Lac made her way back to the CEO's farm, moving as quietly as a shadow slipping through the countryside. The narrow dirt road stretched endlessly ahead, flanked by fields that once glowed golden in daylight, but now lay buried in darkness. Her car lights were off. She relied only on memory and instinct, every turn etched deep into her mind. This place had once been her refuge, a rare corner of the world where fear loosened its grip and her heart dared to rest. Tonight, however, the farm felt different, heavy, tense, as if it were holding its breath. Tieu Lac's hands trembled slightly on the steering wheel, not from the cold, but from the unease creeping into her chest. She hadn't planned to return like this, without warning, without certainty, yet something deep inside her refused to stay silent. Ever since she disappeared, cutting off contact to protect him, the sense of impending danger had followed her like a second shadow. The CEO's face flashed in her mind, his calm eyes, his steady voice, the way he had promised without hesitation that he would never betray her whereabouts. She knew what that promise meant. She knew the kind of enemies he had chosen to face in her place. As the outline of the farm slowly emerged from the darkness, memories flooded back with painful clarity. The creak of the old wooden gate, the smell of soil after rain, the soft glow of lights from the farmhouse at dusk, moments of peace she once believed could last forever. The farm had been more than land and buildings. It was the only place where she felt seen, protected, and human again. And now, returning in secrecy, she feared that peace had already been shattered. She stopped the car far from the entrance and continued on foot, her footsteps light against the earth. The night air was thick, filled with the faint rustling of leaves and the distant sound of insects. Every noise made her pause. Every shadow sharpened her senses. Tieu Lac knew she was taking a risk by coming back, but the risk of staying away felt far greater. If the threats she feared were real, then every second mattered. Her heart pounded harder as she approached the familiar fence line. The farm looked quiet, too quiet. No warm lights, no sign of movement, only darkness stretching across the fields. A chill ran down her spine. She clenched her fists, forcing herself to breathe steadily. Whatever awaited her beyond that fence, she would face it. She had run once to protect him. Tonight, she had come back for the same reason. Without looking back, Tieu Lac stepped forward, crossing into the farm she once called home, unaware whether she was arriving just in time or already too late. Beyond the fence Tio Lac had just crossed, the night concealed another story unfolding at the heart of the farm, a far more dangerous one. Inside the farmhouse, the CEO stood alone, the silence around him broken only by the ticking of an old wall clock and the distant groan of wind brushing against the barn. He had long sensed that the threats would not remain mere words. Refusing to give up Tieu Lac's whereabouts had turned him into a target, and he knew the people hunting her were ruthless enough to make him pay for his silence. Hours earlier, the first warning had arrived. An unfamiliar vehicle slowed near the farm road, its headlights sweeping briefly across the fields before vanishing into the dark. Then came the phone calls. No voices, only heavy breathing, followed by a single chilling sentence. "You still have time to change your mind." He ended every call without replying, his expression unreadable, though his jaw tightened each time. Giving in would be easy. One name, one location, and the danger would disappear, but he refused to trade her safety for his own. Now, standing near the kitchen window, he scanned the land he had nurtured for years. This farm was built on patience and honest labor, a place meant to grow life, not fear. Yet tonight, it felt like a battlefield. The fence had been disturbed, the dogs restless, the horses uneasy in their stalls. Somewhere beyond the fields, unseen eyes were watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. He knew help was far away, and the isolation that once gave him peace now amplified the danger. Despite the threat closing in, the CEO did not panic. He moved deliberately, checking the locks, turning off unnecessary lights, leaving only a single lamp glowing in the living room. It was a quiet declaration. He was not hiding. Every step he took echoed with resolve, even as his thoughts betrayed him. He wondered if Tieu Lac was safe, if she was still running, if she would ever forgive him for the choices he had made in her name. The idea that his silence might cost him his life crossed his mind, but he accepted it without regret. Outside, a branch snapped. He froze, listening. Another sound followed. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, circling the house. The threat had finally arrived. His pulse quickened, yet his gaze remained steady. He reached for his phone, hesitating only a second before slipping it back into his pocket. Calling for help might save him, but it could also lead them straight to her, and that was a risk he would never take. As the shadows drew closer, the CEO stood his ground, unaware that just beyond the fields, Tieu Lac was already on the farm, drawn back by the same unbreakable bond. Time narrowed to a fragile thread, stretched between loyalty and survival, silence and sacrifice. And somewhere in the darkness, two paths were racing toward the same moment. One man prepared to face danger alone, and one woman fighting the night to reach him in time. The moment Tieu Lac sensed something was wrong, the air itself seemed to shift. The quiet of the farm no longer felt peaceful. It pressed against her ears, sharp and suffocating. From the direction of the barn came a dull thud, followed by the unmistakable sound of hurried footsteps. Her heart lurched. She broke into a run, the uneven ground biting into her shoes as she pushed forward, guided by instinct rather than sight. Every second felt stolen, every breath a countdown she could not afford to lose. Near the farmhouse, shadows moved with intention. Figures slipped between trees, their whispers carried briefly by the wind before vanishing into the dark. Tieu Lac slowed, forcing herself to think. Rushing blindly could cost them both everything. She edged closer, keeping low, her pulse roaring in her ears as the faint glow of a single lamp revealed the outline of the house. Through the window, she caught a glimpse of the CEO standing alone, his posture calm but tense, like a man fully aware that danger had already crossed the threshold. A sudden crash shattered the stillness as something struck the side of the house. The CEO turned sharply, reaching for anything he could use to defend himself. At the same time, Tieu Lac moved. She darted from the shadows, her voice cutting through the night. Stop! The word rang out, fierce and unyielding, freezing the attackers for a fraction of a second. It was enough. Chaos erupted. The men scattered, startled by her unexpected appearance. One lunged toward her, but she sidestepped, adrenaline lending her strength she didn't know she had. The CEO rushed forward, grabbing her arm and pulling her behind him. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered urgently, fear flashing across his face, not for himself, but for her. She shook her head, eyes burning with determination. "I came because of this," she replied. "I won't let you face them alone." The sound of distant sirens cut through the night, faint but growing louder. Someone, perhaps a neighbor alerted by the noise, had called for help. Panic rippled through the attackers. One by one, they retreated into the darkness, their threats dissolving into the open fields. The farm slowly reclaimed its silence, broken only by the heavy breathing of two people standing in the aftermath. For a long moment, neither spoke. The CEO looked at Tieu Lac as if she were both a miracle and a wound. "I was trying to protect you," he said quietly. "I know," she answered, her voice softer now, "but protecting each other means standing together." As the sirens drew closer, the weight of the night began to lift. The farm, scarred but standing, bore witness to their choice. Tieu Lac had returned not a moment too soon. In that fragile space between danger and dawn, they understood that loyalty had saved them both, and that whatever came next, they would face it side by side.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Lý Tiểu Lạc Review. Vậy là câu chuyện của chúng ta ngày hôm nay đã kết thúc tại đây. Trong câu chuyện hôm nay của chúng ta thì đã kể về nội dung đó chính là việc vị CEO đã bị những kẻ côn đồ bắt cóc Tiểu Lạc đến tận nông trại để moi thông tin từ anh. Bọn chúng tìm mọi cách mua chuộc đến đe dọa đều không lấy được thông tin gì của anh về Tiểu Lạc, nên chúng đã giở thói côn đồ là đã đánh đập anh khiến anh đang bị thương. Trong khi đó Tiểu Lạc cũng đang trên đường trở về nông trại của CEO để tìm CEO, và cô đã có linh cảm không tốt là cô đang linh cảm là anh đang gặp chuyện không hay xảy ra. Cô nhanh chóng về nông trại thì một cảnh tượng trước mắt diễn xảy ra là anh đang bị thương nặng và nằm bất tỉnh ở dưới nền nhà. Liệu rằng Tiểu Lạc có kịp thời cứu vị CEO hay không? Tất cả sẽ được hé lộ và câu chuyện tiếp theo sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh Lý Tiểu Lạc Review. Các bạn đừng quên bấm vào nút subscribe để nhận được thông báo mới nhất về các câu chuyện sẽ được kể hàng ngày trên kênh Lý Tiểu Lạc Review nha. Nếu các bạn thấy câu chuyện hôm nay hay, hấp dẫn, mới lạ, hãy cho mình xin nút like, share và để lại comment in below video nha. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều đã luôn theo dõi và ủng hộ kênh Lý Tiểu Lạc Review. Tiểu Lạc and CEO, thank you so much. Please continue support their channel Lý Tiểu Lạc Review. Bye bye, see you soon everyone.